Today, the cameras are back on. But it is not the glare of a grandiose stage or the glitter of concert lights that keep millions of eyes glued, but one simple moment that turns into the most powerful emotional event of the day. In public, unscripted and without words, Taehyung embraces Jungkook. A brief embrace, but enough to shake the hearts of the army around the world. Everything happened so fast. At first it seemed like an ordinary interaction, two old friends standing side by side in the crowd. But something changed when Jungkook lowered his head. His expression looked tired. His eyes were not as sharp as usual. In the next instant, Taehyung stepped closer. Without hesitation, without looking at the camera, he opened his arms and pulled Jungkook into a calm but meaningful embrace. The camera captured it clearly, and the world seemed to stop spinning for a few seconds. For a layman, it might just be a hug. But for those who followed BTS's journey from the beginning, this moment carries a much greater emotional weight. Taehyung and Jungkook aren't just group mates. They grew up together under the cruel pressures of the industry, going through adolescence with global spotlight, relentless criticism, and never-falling expectations. The hug seemed to be a symbol of all the unspoken burden, all the fatigue that had been hidden behind the smile of the stage. Jungkook is known as a figure who rarely shows his fragility in public. Over the years, he stood as a strong magne, a perfectionist, and always tried not to trouble anyone. Today, however, the camera captures a rarely seen side. His shoulders trembled slightly, his breathing was irregular. And Taehyung, as if he already understood without having to ask, was there. Not with words of motivation, not with laughter, but with a silent and empathetic presence. The army's reaction came almost instantly. Social media was filled with snippets of video from various angles, accompanied by virtual cries and words full of emotion. Many wrote that the hug felt like a tacit admission that Jungkook was tired, and Taehyung chose to be the backrest instead of the spotlight. In an industry that often demands idols to always be strong, this moment feels like a very human little rebellion. What makes this moment even stronger is the realization that the camera is filming everything. Taehyung knows that, Jungkook knows that, but the hug still happened. No effort to restrain yourself, no awkward movements to maintain the image. That's where his honesty lies. The hug was not made for the camera just happened to be a witness. Observers of the Korean entertainment industry rate this moment as something rare. In the midst of a highly controlled world, where every move of an idol is often taken into account, this kind of emotional spontaneity is rarely seen. Taehyung doesn't try to be a heroic figure, he just becomes a friend. And Jungkook did not try to appear strong. He allowed himself to lean back. It's that simplicity that makes this moment feel so real and touching. Many later attributed this embrace to the various pressures that later approached Jungkook. Issues, speculation, expectations, and the burden of a career that continues to increase. But interestingly, none of them tried to explain what happened. There is no official statement. There is no clarification, as if they wanted to say that not all things need to be explained, and not all emotions need to be packaged in words. Taehyung, in his own way, shows that true support doesn't always have to be vocal. Sometimes it's enough just to be present and embrace, especially when the world feels too noisy. And Jungkook, in his silence, showed another courage that is rarely highlighted. The courage to look tired, at least in the presence of people he trusts. This moment also reminded many of their relationship from the very beginning of the debut. From little behind-the-scenes laughs to being together in difficult times, Taehyung and Jungkook have always had a bond that isn't easily explained. Today's hug is a reminder that behind their global superstar status, they are still two human beings who need each other. When the video ended and the camera moved on to another moment, the hug remained in the minds of many. He does not disappear with the spotlight. Quite the contrary, it grew into a symbol of non-performative friendship, a symbol of unconditional support, and a symbol that even those who seem strongest sometimes need a place to lean. Today, with no speech and no background music, Taehyung and Jungkook teach something simple yet profound. That empathy doesn't always have to be spoken, and that one sincere embrace can be louder than 1,000 words. In the midst of a world of entertainment full of hypocrisy, this moment feels honest. And maybe that's why it's the most emotional moment of the day. And while some people think that the moment will pass them by, the reality is exactly the opposite. Taehyung's embrace of Jungkook continues to be lived, replayed, analyzed, and refelt by the millions of people who see it, not because of sensations, but because of the frankness of emotions that rarely arise in public spaces. Many soldiers said they couldn't watch without holding back tears, because in the embrace they saw a reflection of themselves, buried fatigue, struggles not always seen, and the need for someone who would say, "I'm here," without a voice. A few hours after the moment spread, the narrative in the media changed. It is no longer about achievements, numbers, or accomplishments, but about humanity. About how two idols who have stood at the top of the world actually show their most vulnerable sides. Jungkook did not cry excessively, nor did he collapse in public. But it is precisely the calmness when embraced that makes the heart feel claustrophobic. As if he had finally given himself permission to pause, even if only for a few seconds. Taehyung's body language is also in the spotlight. The way he embraced Jungkook was not a hasty hug or pleasantries. His arms were steady, his position protective, and his expression calm. No gaze into the camera, no contrived smile. Many judged that Taehyung knew exactly what Jungkook needed at that moment, and he gave it without asking. A form of emotional maturity that is rarely talked about, yet feels so real. In the world of Korean entertainment, which is often loud and leaves no room for the weak, this moment becomes a kind of collective pause. Many fans wrote that they felt represented, that there was finally an idol who showed that it was okay not to be okay. Without a campaign, without a slogan, with just one hug. The impact is actually much deeper than the motivational message that is memorized. Interestingly, until the day went by night, not a single official clarification appeared. Not from the agency, nor from the two idols. And maybe it's not necessary, because the power of the moment lies precisely in its obscurity. Everyone is free to feel and interpret it in their own way. Some see it as a form of protection, others interpret it as a signal of fatigue, and others interpret it as proof of a time-tested friendship. For Jungkook, the hug was probably just a small second in his life full of hectic schedules. But to the watching world, it was a reminder that even a global star is still human. He can get tired. He may need a backup. And he deserved it. For Taehyung, it's probably not a big deal. Just a reflection of a friend. But that's precisely why this moment feels so sincere. This day will be remembered not so much for a big statement or a new controversy, as for one silent act that speaks louder than anything else. Amid the noise of the entertainment world, Taehyung chooses to embrace, and Jungkook chooses to accept. A moment that was unplanned, unregulated, yet left a deep emotional imprint.